About that time, Caesar Augustus ordered a census to be taken throughout the empire. This was the first census when Quirinius was governor of Syria. Everyone had to travel to his own ancestral hometown to be accounted for. So Joseph went from the Galilean town of Nazareth up to Bethlehem in Judah, David's town, for the census. As a descendant of David, he had to go there. He went with Mary, his fiancée, who was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. She gave birth to a son, her firstborn. She wrapped him in a blanket and laid him in a manger because there was no room in the hostel. Mary and Joseph traveled a long way to return to their ancestral home to be officially counted. When they finally reached their destination, after many days on the road, they would have been exhausted. Mary was heavily pregnant. She was due at any time. So you don't expect to hear, she wrapped him in a blanket and laid him in a manger because there was no room in the hostel. If Mary and Joseph had come here to Hazar Ribah, they would have gotten a very different answer. Residents tell us that if any newcomer comes to their neighborhood, they never turn them away. They're happy when newcomers come. They accept them with laughter and joy and greet them with salam. They would ask for news from their hometown. They would inquire about their family members, their children. They would welcome them as an old friend. They want the newcomer to know that they feel blessed that they have come into their home. From their point of view, the newcomers are Atithi Narayan, which means guests are God. And if they take care of them, God will provide for them. And the longer newcomers stay with them, the more joy they have. This is not to say that it is easy to host newcomers. Residents tell us that they struggle to manage the rich food, the refreshments, and the recreation. And as you can see, they live in tiny rented rooms, so they have to think carefully about sleeping arrangements. And sometimes the owner of the house puts pressure on the residents because guests use up precious water supplies and other facilities. If a newcomer stays a long time, it may impact a family's ability to pay their rent on time. But even if residents struggle to cover the cost, they will never share with their guests that they are lacking. They trust in God to provide the necessities that they need to host their guests. The culture of hospitality here in Hazar Ribah is not unique. Wherever you go around the world where World Vision works, you see hospitality similar to this. Moreover, you even see this kind of hospitality in Bible times. Let me now read to you from Genesis chapter 18. In Genesis 18, we read that the Lord appeared to Abraham at the sacred tree of Mamre. As Abraham was sitting at the entrance of the tent during the hottest part of the day, he looked up and saw 3 men standing there. As soon as he saw them, he ran out to meet them. Bowing down with his face touching the ground, he said, "Sirs, do not pass me without stopping. I am here to serve you. Let me bring some water to wash your feet. You can rest here beneath this tree. I will bring you a bit of food. I will give you strength to continue your journey. You have honored me by coming to my home. Let me serve you." So when we read in the Christmas story that there was no room in the hostel for Mary and Joseph, it's a real surprise. How can it be that there was no room for Mary and Joseph? The Bible does not answer that question. But as you read the Christmas story, you realize that the people of Bethlehem must have felt stretched and overwhelmed by the numbers of newcomers coming for the census. That happens. There are times in our lives when our hearts close for the newcomers in our midst. But in so doing, we miss the moment when God has come among us to bless us. This Christmas, I invite all of us to consider how we can keep our hearts open to the newcomers among us, especially when we feel stretched and overwhelmed. But how will we do that? In a way, the answer is really quite simple. To sustain the joy of welcoming newcomers in our midst, share the joy of hospitality with others. This is what residents do in Hazaribah. When residents can't provide everything that is required for their guests, they ask their neighbors to contribute. Neighbors gladly share. They share food, water, clothes, cooking facilities, showers for washing, toilets for sanitation. They even negotiate together with the homeowners. As we follow their example, I believe that we will see the joy of hospitality spread in ever-widening circles, and the most vulnerable newcomers among us will thrive and flourish, and we will be blessed. Shuvo Borodin.